The train to somewhere. Emma never took the 7:42 a.m. train. Her mornings usually began later. Coffee brewed slowly, radio humming softly in the background. But that day, an unexpected email from her boss had pulled her into the city early. She rushed out the door, scarf loosely wrapped, hair barely tamed, coffee in one hand and her worn tote bag in the other. The platform was colder than she expected, the air smelling faintly of rain from the night before. She slipped onto the train just as the doors began to close, her breath visible in the morning chill. The carriage was crowded. Commuters scrolling on phones, flipping newspapers, sipping takeaway coffee. But somehow, there was one empty seat by the window. She slid into it quickly, setting her bag on her lap. And that's when she noticed him. The man sitting beside her was reading. A simple paperback, its pages slightly yellowed, cover bent from use. He didn't look up at first, his dark hair falling slightly into his eyes. But when the train jolted over a bend, their shoulders touched, and he glanced her way with a small, polite smile. That was it, nothing more. Until the next morning, she was on the 7:42 again. Not because she planned it, but because she was running late for her usual train. The crowd was the same. The air still held that faint scent of rain. And there it was again, the empty seat by the window. The same man sat beside it. This time when she sat down, she noticed his book, The Little Prince. "That's my favorite," she said without thinking, her voice barely louder than the hum of the train. He looked at her, surprised, then smiled. "Mine too." From that day, their train ride slowly became different. Some mornings they talked about books, swapping recommendations like little treasures. Other days they spoke about the weather, the way the city seemed softer under a light drizzle, or how the early sunlight lit the buildings in gold. And sometimes they said nothing at all, just sat there in companionable silence, the sound of the tracks filling the air between them. Emma began to notice little things about him. How he always carried a pen in his pocket, how he tapped his foot when deep in thought, how he'd sometimes smile faintly at something he read. Daniel, she learned, noticed her too. The way she always wrapped her scarf twice around her neck on colder days. How she tucked her hair behind her ear when thinking. How she doodled absent-mindedly in the margins of her planner. Weeks passed, and the 7:42 became their train. Then one Friday, just as the train was pulling into the station, Daniel closed his book and handed her a folded note. His handwriting was neat, the ink slightly smudged. "Saturday to 10 a.m., same station. Coffee?" Before she could answer, the train slowed to a stop. He stood, gave her the same quiet smile from that very first morning, and disappeared into the crowd. The next day, Emma was there, earlier than she needed to be. She spotted him instantly, standing with 2 coffees in hand. Years later, Emma still keeps that note, pressed between the pages of The Little Prince, because that Saturday morning wasn't just coffee. It was the start of everything.